Actually, I wanted to be a pharmacist. I was absolutely intrigued with our local drugstore. It seemed to have everything that anyone could want. It had medications, it had candy, it had a soda fountain, it had magazines. That's what I wanted to be.
It wasn't until Rod's final semester at SDSU that he chose to pursue a career as a physician. From that point forward, Rod Parry dedicated his life to improving medicine and medical education in South Dakota and beyond.
So 5 months before the start of the school year, I applied to medical school and got in. Couldn't do it nowadays, but back then it was possible.
While in class at the University of South Dakota School of Medicine, Rod exhibited traits that gained the admiration of teachers and peers alike, and would serve him well throughout his career.
My impression of him were that he was a very diligent student, and he was, however, rather quiet, but very studious and hardworking.
By the time he returned to South Dakota, Rod already boasted a distinguished background. He made a name for himself by bringing innovative treatments to the area, and he became one of the region's leaders in pulmonary medicine.
Here's a gentleman who could go anywhere. Matter of fact, had been trained elsewhere and decided to come back to the state in which he was born and in which he was raised, and that told me a lot about him as an individual.
When Rod Parry joined the Sioux Falls medical community, we were just another dusty cow town providing okay medical care. But thanks to him and a whole lot of other great physicians who joined about that same time, we saw the Sioux Falls medical community expand and grow.
Certainly his clinical skills as a pulmonologist stand out, and especially in the fact that we were both building. Both programs were building, and it was an exciting time in Sioux Falls when lots of subspecialists were coming back, and so he added to that.
But with Dr. Parry, you knew that if he went to a conference or saw something in a journal article, if he mentioned that in the morning, you better spend the rest of the morning figuring out how to do it, because he was going to order it in the afternoon.
The biggest thing, I think, was just his passion for his job, for his life.
I've always admired his work ethic and the fact that he was very committed, be it to the family, to the extended family, to his work, his patients. I think that's an admirable quality and one I've always appreciated.
When Dr. Parry was around, change was going to happen, and we were going to see better care for our patients.
He had an innate understanding that effective management, whether of a disease or of the people he led, began with honesty and open ears. Rod always understood helping his colleagues reach new heights often meant lifting them up in creative ways.
I very much want to hear what people are saying and see how they respond to conversation. And I think by doing that, that allows one to develop collaboration, and through collaboration, I think great things can happen.
I think all of us experienced that, where he listened to others as he was making his decisions, but it was very much collaborative.
Because he would walk into a room saying, people, people, people. So when you say, is he a people person? Yeah, those were the first words out of his mouth.
Dr. Parry was so easy to go to with any questions that I had, and he had just a relaxed style.
And he would tell it like it is, and a lot of physicians, I don't know, for whatever reason, don't do that, and I think patients really appreciate that. And when he'd tell somebody to stop smoking or you're going to die, I would think that made a lasting impression. I'm sure there's lots of people around yet today that quit smoking because he was so emphatic.
I love the fact he can roll with the punches. There's almost nobody that can take a criticism or a jab or an offhand comment and turn it back in a way that's both friendly but very insightful. He always gives another perspective. He has a big picture view.
One of Dr. Parry's real strengths, I feel, can be exemplified by my second week, I think, in taking this job. And he came up to me and said, Tim, I represent the School of Medicine at the South Dakota State Medical Association meeting, and I can't make it. And could you go there in my stead? And an interesting thing happened. All of a sudden, I became more and more involved in the Medical Association to the point that now I'm on the executive committee and am quite active. To this day, I don't know, but I suspect that he may have had a plan in mind.
Impressively, Rod built an academic career of equal stature to his medical career. As a teacher and later an administrator, he engaged his students and colleagues on a personal level and brought out the best in them as they pursued their mutual goals.
And the chair of internal medicine, Robert Talley, was looking for someone to be involved in pulmonary medicine, so he sent letters. One of the letters came to Mayo Clinic, and one of my faculty members suggested that I should consider doing this. It was the job that I took. It's the job I kept my entire career.
Here was a well-trained pulmonologist. The Mayo Clinic certainly has a great reputation, and I remember Dr. Parry Rod used to always poke fun at it by calling it the world-famous Mayo Clinic whenever he discussed it. I think it was, an individual who was willing to take some risks and interested, and he certainly had impressed me as his commitment to South Dakota.
It was clear that he was not there because he had to be, because it was part of his job. He was there because he wanted to instill in his students a passion for taking care of people and to do it the right way.
Rod oversaw unprecedented change at the School of Medicine. From the construction of the new Lee Medical Building and class size expansion to curricular updates, building new partnerships, and fundraising, he led the charge on all fronts, though the role of leader often ran counter to his introverted nature.
I'm actually a shy farm kid, and so this is very difficult to be in a leadership position and have people expect solutions and expect leadership. So some days I go home tired and I have to recharge.
It didn't show if he had feelings that it didn't feel secure about it. That never seemed to show, and I think it's maybe, they say a violin string is best when there's a little tension on it. And maybe that might have been an advantage in this case.
There is perhaps no better example of Rod's sincere enthusiasm for his work and the people he served than the research he conducted with the Hutterites. His team examined the development of lung diseases that are closely associated with agricultural lifestyles.
We talked over beer at the meeting and said, okay, there's this grant we can write for the American Lung Association. We had 3 weeks to write the grant. But we got that grant and then worked in that area for over 5 years.
Rod's ease with people and straightforwardness, along with his farming background, helped to endear him to the people of the colonies. From scientific beginnings blossomed lifelong friendships.
He really immersed himself into that. I mean, he went so far as to grow a beard for a while. And I think that was a very big plus because it encouraged the people there to engage with us.
All our people at Old Line Colony really liked him. And he's one of the few that came to our weddings. He came out and stayed overnight at my house, and I stayed overnight at his house. And it's unbelievable when we talked about issues and problems that he talked about. I talked about the colony problems and everything. It was the same. We had actually had the same challenges, and we visited on the phone sometimes half an hour, just to discuss with each other. And it really helped me as a leader in the Hutterite colony.
It was his appreciation of people that helped us succeed.
It is difficult to know the precise impact of a life and career as distinguished as Rod's. We can, however, be certain of this much. His tireless efforts over the decades have made this state a better place to live, to learn, and to practice the healing arts.
And thanks to his leadership and his vision, we're producing medical students, medical graduates, who are going to serve us very, very well in the state of South Dakota for many generations to come.
You know, I think Dr. Parry's lasting impact in the region is going to be his dedication to education. He always made sure that we had the right curriculum for medical students, that we had the right models.
I think he brought us into the 21st century as a medical school. He brought it to the forefront in terms of the state and in the legislative areas of how important the medical school is and how important it is to the state.
It's difficult to narrow it down to one area, but I think it would be his skill in building, nurturing, and maintaining relationships between the School of Medicine and the physicians of South Dakota who serve as the clinical faculty and who are very protective of the school and its students.
I think he's been a marvelous dean. I think he was excellent as a practicing physician, and he's a wonderful representative of medicine.
He stands as an example of what everybody would say, if you can be half as good a physician as this gentleman is, you'll be wonderful.
And as difficult as it is to quantify the scope of Rod's legacy, it is even more challenging to anticipate how he will apply his boundless energy during his retirement.
I'm not really sure. I can't imagine that bundle of energy just slowing down and stopping.
Dr. Parry's retirement. I hope he's growing some flowers. I'm sure he'll be doing that gardening, traveling, enjoying his grandchildren, his children, and of course his wonderful wife, Ruth. So
he's always been such a busy bee. I don't know how I will slow him down. I think he might travel. Maybe he'll come out to Oakland more often to see us. I'm anxious to see how he will survive.
I know he loves to read, so I hope he takes that time to read and enjoy gardening and being outside. And I know eventually he'll learn how to work the coffee maker.
I think Rod's retirement will probably be as busy as his working life was. I already see that he's, setting out plans and making schedules.
My major interest are my 4 grandchildren. And it's sort of fun because a few years ago while I was dean, they were little. And now they're not so little. And so it's going to be very important that I have opportunities to be available.
As for Rod, he says he plans to remain a resource for the School of Medicine.
I would drink a cup of coffee, I'll talk, I might read USA Today, and I'll listen.
Regardless of what you choose to do, Rod, know you have enriched the life of all of us with your skill, your honesty, and your hard work. Healthcare and medical education in South Dakota will not be the same without you. Thank you for all that you have done for all of us.
Thanks for teaching me everything that you did teach me. It was great working with you.
And thank you very much on behalf of your colleagues across the United States, the academic leaders, the Council of Deans, for all that you have done for medicine, for our profession, and for the state of South Dakota.
May God bless you, Dr. Parry, and Ruth with a long and joy-filled retirement. Thanks for the memories.
Dr. Parry, on behalf of the entire Avera Health family, we want to thank you for a wonderful career and your outstanding service as Dean of the Medical School. We are going to miss you greatly. Thank you for everything you've done.
Dr. Parry, I want to thank you for your years of service, for our friendship. I'm going to get a little choked up here, but I consider you a good friend and a mentor.
Dr. Parry, thanks for being a mentor and a friend to me.
Well, I really want to thank Dr. Parry for all that he's done for us, for me and my family, at the time when I was diagnosed with cancer. He came into my room at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was crying just like I was crying. Sorry about that, but he really helped me through. He got me into Mayo Clinic, 1, 2, 3, went all the way through. I must say he's the closest friend that I have in the outside world.
Thank you, Rod and Ruth.